everyone, and welcome. I have a different kind of piece today. I've cut a bunch of this new size shape. I've filled the large ring binder, so I was looking for something to replace it. You might see a couple more videos come up, but it's full. So I came up with this new one, and I kind of designed it on my Cricut and cut it out so that it'll have tabs that descend down with each different one. And I cut a bunch out on Bristol smooth paper so that I can pretty much do anything on it. So I'm gonna start with stamping some text, and this is I'm trying to remember what this one's called. Let me look here. It's called Ledger Script. It's Stampers Anonymous by Tim Holtz, or with Tim Holtz. And so I just have put the Versamark clear on it and stamped so I can use my embossing glaze, and I'm using the color Speckled Egg. And in the final piece, it's really kind of jumps off the page. It's subtle, but I really like how it looks in the final piece. And I always have a hard time getting those lids back on. So I just hit it with my heat tool to emboss it, and now I'm ready to add some ink, and this is antique linen. It is an oxide spray, and I start just kind of spraying it on, and then I decided to do it through a stencil just to give it a little bit of pattern. In the end, you really don't see it much. And once I'm done with that, I just dump it in my little tub of water to clean it later. It pretty much cleans it, but I do rinse them off. And I'm going to just add some vintage photo around the edges. I actually end up making it much darker by the end. And I think I just wasn't crazy about the vintage photo with the antique linen. It just wasn't driving correctly with me or with the pieces I put on it either. So I changed to frayed burlap, which has a little more gray than brown, in my opinion. So I give it a dry, make sure it's all dry before I start adding some stuff. And so I just grabbed a whole bunch of different ephemera. I have some stickers there that I bought on Amazon, and just about any kind of Tim Holtz ephemera. I have some dials, that's the clock. I can't remember what the words are called, but it's just like a pack of those words. And I'm kind of doing this for thinking about New Year's. So I'm thinking time and clocks. And anyways, these are from the layers. So they're glossy, and I don't want glossy, so I kind of scuff them up some, and then I add some collage medium to kind of take away the gloss. This will kind of matte it up. So I'm thinking those are going to be my 3 larger pieces. In the end, I really get rid of the 2, so I just use the time and the clock. But I'm setting those aside to dry, just loosening them off. If you don't loosen them up, they'll stick to the paper because of the collage medium. And so I'm just setting those aside, and I'm figuring out what else I want to put on. And here's where I grab the frayed burlap. And I hadn't decided if I was going to use frayed burlap or that corduroy, brush corduroy, and I end up using the frayed burlap. I never use the brush corduroy. So I just start taking all the pieces that I think might make it in to the cut and just start kind of aging the edges. So this kind of goes on for a little while. I've sped it up so that you don't have to sit through, but if you get tired of watching me aging these edges, just jump ahead, and I do eventually stop. And I don't end up using even half probably of the ones that I'm aging, but I kind of was waiting on the main pieces to dry, so and I'll have them aged for next time. A couple of those pieces are from the transparent things. I don't end up using anything from that. I'll list all the ephemera packs that I used something out of in the description. Sometimes I get them mixed up though, because I'll put them back away and they might get into a different package. Okay, so thinking I've got my pieces done. Now that my larger pieces are dry, I'm just adding a little bit of the frayed burlap to them. adding the frayed burlap around the edges. And now I just spend a little bit of time figuring out how I want it to look. And I try that too out, but to me it's just taking up too much real estate. And so I pull that. It's really all in what appeals to you. I wanted to add a little bit of red, but I wanted to do it up and down, so I have one that says special delivery and one that looks like a 7-cent stamp. It's got a plane on it. And now I'm starting to glue. And when I'm doing a collage piece like this, I tend to try anyways, I don't always remember, to not get real close to the edges in case I want to tuck something underneath something. And I do move a few things around from when I first had it. Such as that overdue, I do move it to the top there. And I was going to just stick it down, but I decided I don't like the white edge. So I do snip that off. So instead of the 2, I used that 3, which I think was from the Snippet ephemera pack. thought was kind of cool. That piece there is like something like a time thing for Paris, and this picture looks like it has the Eiffel Tower in it. So I had my second red thing. And I was going to put that number sequence, but then I decided on using this little, it's like a time sticker or day, it's month, day, year, it says. And so I kind of wanted to reinforce the fact that this was New Year's, at least in my mind. And I write on it 01/01/1960. And with all that done, I just felt like it needed a little darker in the background. So I just take my blending tool and add some frayed burlap to the lighter area that is showing. And I'm not really worried about it getting on anything, because the more vintage and distressed it looks to me, the better. And because I darkened it up, I felt like I needed to go a little darker than that on the edges. So I'm grabbing some scorched timber and going to darken around the edge even more. And I'm going to add just a little bit of stamping, not a lot. I cover up the things I don't want to get stamped, but it doesn't stamp really well because it wasn't really flat, and because there is some raised embossing on it, so it didn't do it real well. So I actually took it off the stamp pad and just kind of pressed it down, and that worked out a little better. But I didn't want a whole lot anyways. And then on the eccentric pad, Stampers Anonymous, I grab a number and just stamp on the little tab. And then I decided to add another butterfly. And then I think the only thing left is I add, oh wait, no, I still haven't done the hole punch yet. So I'm going to punch a hole in the corner. These are gonna be a ringed item. So I'm just gonna punch a hole in the corner. And it doesn't always go clean through, so it's a real old punch. And I'm going to add a eyelet. And I think the last thing I do is add the sentiment, and that is from, let's see, the Clipping Sticker Book. And it says, "Let us imagine for a moment." And I'm going to add that down there, and I'm also going to put a little bit of distress ink on the back. I had debated whether I wanted to do them double-sided like I did the large journal pages, the ring one, but I think I'm just going to kind of not leave them blank, but add some texture with some distress ink, and so they're not blank, but yet they kind of go with the front. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on the back. So I just use this, I think it's called a burlap stencil from Tim Holtz. And then I'm going to use the same stencil and take some blue. I think I used Stormy Sky, and just kind of rubbed it on the stencil and sprayed it with some water a little bit, and then just dropped it on the back, trying to line it up so that it got in the white areas, but it hit some of it and it didn't hit a lot. You're never sure what you're going to get when you use that technique. but that's kind of what I like about it. So I give that a dry. And then the last thing I do is add that sentiment. Kind of add a little frayed burlap around it and glue it on. And that's it. So I have a final picture coming up, and I hope you liked it. If you do, please subscribe. Hey, and it's free. I've had some people ask me how much does it cost to subscribe. It is totally free to you. Totally free. So please do. Please subscribe. And if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. That helps my ratings. But anyways, thanks for watching, and you have a great day.